What we're trying to do here is optimize the experience on the trail and achieve the utmost ride quality out of the bike. You know, that doesn't happen by chance. It requires a lot of test time, a lot of time on the trail, a lot of tuning and then retuning. You know, ultimately, we have a lot of great tools that we use here, but at the end of the day, the most critical tool and the most valuable tool is the rider on the trail. DRCV stands for dual rate control valve. Dual rate means we actually have two air chambers in one, and the control valve is the plunger that controls when the second chamber comes into play. The first chamber, working solely on its own, is very similar to a small volume air canister up to that point, keeping it lively, keeping it responsive. When that plunger comes in contact and activates and the second chamber kicks in, both chambers are working in unison. In the return stroke, that plunger valve closes. Once that valve closes, the upper chamber stays at that pressure. You never feel a firmness. It's a very gradual slowdown. So it really is like having two shocks in one. Ultimately, the best way to see DRCV work, it's on the trail itself. What you're seeing here is a small canister air shock. Notice how it's handling the high frequency bumps fairly well. But when it gets to the big hit, the system is taxed and the shock doesn't fully compress, and the rear wheel kicks up upon return. With the extra volume canister air shock, it takes big hits and achieves full compression, but it has difficulty with the mid-stroke control and handling higher frequency small bumps. Now with DRCV, you get the small bump compliance and the big hit control. Notice how much the shock is really moving. The data acquisition shows the liveliness of the DRCV first stage. The chassis and the rider are isolated from the terrain. You can really see how much control that gives the rider. Here on a big hit, you can see the limitation of a small can. The shock uses all its stroke but cannot react effectively to the subsequent bumps. Instead, the rear wheel kicks up and the rider's control is compromised. The DRCV handles the big hit. The shock compresses fully and takes the force of the drop with ease. The data shows the shock's ability to handle multiple bumps following a big hit. That's the big difference with DRCV. It remains lively and active all the time. With the extra volume shock, the rider comes into turn with great control. But halfway through, the stutter bumps start to overwhelm the shock. Packing it up, the back wheel loses traction. As the bike with DRCV rounds a turn, watch the back wheel trace every single bump. The shock doesn't pack up. The data shows every bump being absorbed no matter the frequency. This lets the rider go faster and stay in complete control. It's not about more, it's about doing more with what you've got. Now you understand how DRCV really is two shocks in one.